Hi, I'm Amy, Rethinking Success podcast, and I want to share a story with you to begin today. Now, I did share this in the last episode, so you might have heard it already, but, if you have, you can hear it again. If not, just fast forward. So this is a story about my nephew. Now, I'm lucky enough to have two nephews, a niece, and another niece on the way, which is delightful. And I love being an auntie. And I love being an auntie for a few reasons. One, I just get to fly in, feed them sugar and fly out. No, I don't really do that. I mean, I do give them lots. I do spend lots of money on them. I do spoil them. I pretty much, you can have whatever you like when Auntie Amy's around, even days off school. How great is that? I love being an auntie also because I get to watch them grow and change in different ways from a different perspective. And I always get to hear stories from their parents and have not as much attachment to that and think that's really funny. That makes me laugh. And on the other end of the phone, I'm usually met with, "Stop laughing, Amy," or "You wouldn't laugh if you were here." But the honest truth is I do. And my sister has told me many times to leave the room because laughing isn't helping. And that's just how it is. But this story is one of my favorites at the moment. So my eldest nephew is 11. And he's about to go into secondary school or high school. And he had an interview with his new school just to check in and get him ready and see what he's looking forward to. Pretty normal. You do these little interviews and you go to orientation days. And one of the questions that's always asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm sure you were asked that question when you were younger. I know I was asked it many times, and I am still guilty of asking kids this. But this question is not being answered how it used to be. Now, when I was younger, we just named jobs, right? Lawyer, teacher, doctor, nurse, firefighter. Kids now say they want to be YouTubers. That's a thing too. Now, my 11-year-old nephew for the last few years has been telling us that he wanted to be a lawyer. He even knew what university he wanted to go to. He had it all worked out. And so when they asked him this question, my sister sitting there with him, and they said to him, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" She expected him to say lawyer because that's what he'd been telling us. Only he didn't say that, and that was a surprise to her and all of us when we found out. And this was his answer. When they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" he said, "I want to be work from home." Now, you might laugh or smirk or think that's funny, and it kind of is. But it's not funny in the sense that it's not true, because it is, because this is what young people are seeing and observing. Now, my sister was, I think, a little bit embarrassed or shocked from this. And I said, no, this is great, because this is an insight into the shift we're seeing with young people observing what's happening in the working world, with what their parents are doing, and with the shift of what other people are doing. Now, I work from home. I'm on the road, I travel a bit. My brother works from home. My sister actually works in a school, so she goes to work every day. And he's probably watching what's going on and thinking, oh, I'm not sure, what I want to do. And we know that these young people are seeing and observing and starting to shape their own life based on that, whether we intentionally do it or not. That's what happens. And I wanted to high-five my nephew. In fact, I probably will when I see him next and just be like, tell me what you're thinking here. Because I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, I actually am not obsessed with title or status anymore, because we're all starting to unravel that. He's going, I want to choose a job that allows me to live my life the way I want it. I want to choose a job based on my values and how I spend my time, and a job that allows me to have slow mornings or, go and hang out with my friends. I mean, he's probably thinking he just wants a job that allows him to play Fortnite. I don't know. But it's about choosing a job on lifestyle, not career and job title. And this is a shift. And so we have to be prepared to look at what's happening and ask ourselves, are we okay with that? Are we ready for this? How are we adjusting in the workplace to be ready for what's coming in the future? Because it's coming. These young people, I was talking to someone only last week in a workshop I ran, and they said they have an 18-year-old who has 3 jobs, and they're quite happy working 3 different jobs. One's freelance, doing some graphic design stuff, because we can just do that now without a degree. One is a waitressing, hospitality job, and I'm not sure what the third one is. But they're so happy having 3 different jobs. And this is what we're going to see. We're going to see people have portfolios of jobs, not just one thing. I'm going to see people choose jobs on lifestyle, not just one career path for the rest of their life or until they get to their, 40-year-old midlife crisis and jump ship. That's not going to be the thing anymore. So when my nephew said this, it gave me a real insight into what the future of work life looks like. And it made me think that this shift is coming regardless whether or not organizations are prepared for it. And so we need to be ready, like leaders and systems, we need to get ready for this. But the problem is so many of those things are built around status and hierarchy and wanting people to be in the office. And that's just not how it's going to look anymore. And so when young people are watching this, they're going, I don't want that. I don't want to sign up for that. And they realize they have choice and they have options. For the first time ever, they can choose to work from home. Now, I didn't have that when I was going into university, finishing school. Like, that wasn't an option. It is now. It is now an option to choose a job from work from home or flexibility, or choose your own hours, work to outcome, to contract yourself out and do different jobs across different organizations and workplaces. And people are doing it. Like, young people are smart. Young people are starting businesses before they even finish school. And so this is changing, and we can't rely on the old model of working and how workplaces operate and structures and process and policy to fit the way new people will work, because you know what they'll do? They'll just make up their own jobs and their own way to make money, because they have access to the entire globe now. Not just the town that they live in, not just the city that they live in. Like, they can actually diversify their skills in a range of ways that we never could. And this, as scary as it might sound, is the shift you need to be ready for. But it comes with challenge and tension, because there are generational differences here. There are a group of people that think this is how it should be. This is what the world looks like. Young people should just slot in like we had to. And then people like myself stuck in the middle of it. I can see why my nephew wants work from home job. I can see that he understands the benefits of that. I can see how that might actually allow him to be present and connected to his family, not having to commute so far, not having to choose, which is what so many of us have had to do as work demands have become more, as we've had to go into the office or the workplace. Commuting time and travel time, always having notifications or team chats pinging on our phone, the ability to actually switch off has reduced. And I've talked about that in a couple of episodes. So go back and listen to, I think, 2 episodes before that where I talked about micro breaks and micro rests and switching off. But this is also about asking, what kind of life do you want to live, before we ask kids, what kind of job do you want to have? And this is what we do. We say to kids, what do you want to be when you wake up? And we attach their worth to their job. And we need to ask them, what kind of life do you want to live? What kind of person do you want to be? And then we might ask them what they want to do with their time, right? And so we've got to start thinking like this, because that's how our children are thinking. Now, I understand that there is tension, and we can respect where the systems and the ways of working and the organizational structures that we know came from. But we also need to ask, why are we holding on to them so tightly? Why are we afraid of letting them go a little bit? Why are we afraid of doing things differently? And it's perfectly okay to feel unsettled as this happens, because it's a shift. We're not sure what's on the other side. It creates uncertainty, but we also don't need to judge it. It doesn't need to be right or wrong. It just needs to be, this is what it looks like, because this is what it looks like. This is what's happening. This is what we need to be aware of. And so we actually have to push past this fear. And we have to be able to ask ourselves, what are we protecting or trying to protect when we resist change? And is it actually useful to us in the workplace, or is it attached to an identity or a belief or a rule we hold personally? Because it's not about you. It's not about us individually. It's not about, well, I did it 20 years ago and so other people can do it too. It's about what's good for us. It's about what's good for the greater good. It's about where things are headed with the opportunities that exist, because they didn't exist 20 years ago, and so things have changed. It's about understanding that there's a new version of success coming, and our young people are switched on and they know what it is. And so we have to catch up. We have to be able to name that and know it. And that's the first step that allows us to then think about, well, how do we get some type of resolution here? It's not about going, well, let's just stay where we are because, that protects certainty, or that protects status, or that protects not having to change. That's not actually allowing us to build a better workplace for people now and the young people coming through. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my nieces and nephews to have to live in a world growing up like I did, where your worth is attached to your job, where you're told the harder you work, the better you are, where you're told to climb the career ladder because that's the only way to be successful. I don't want that world for them. I don't want a world where they feel like they have to choose between work and life. And should I go home so I can have dinner with my family, or stay here and clean out my 37 emails that appeared in the last hour? I don't want them to have to make those choices, because I don't think that that's how life should be lived. And we've swung too far in making work the priority, and young people are observing it and going, no, Like, I'm here to live life. That doesn't mean we can't work. That doesn't mean we can't do great things. It doesn't mean we can't be high performing and have high standards in our workplaces or have accountability or have KPIs. We can. We just need to get better at clarifying what it is and knowing that people are going to do these things differently. And yeah, that's tension. And yeah, like it's hard, right? And we've got to be willing not to just sit in the discomfort, but also be brave enough to take bold steps that allow us to change and do things differently. Because whether you think it's right or wrong, young people are saying this is it. And we've actually got to be willing to like meet them there or to think ahead and get ready for it. Yeah, like it's not right. It's not wrong. We've got to be curious about what it means for us in the future and where it's going to go, because I genuinely believe this is what the future of work life looks like. So I'm going to ask you to sit with that. How did that story of my nephew actually make you feel? Did you roll your eyes and think, of course he did? Or as if? Or young people just don't take things seriously? Or like me, did you think, yeah, that's cool? Because how you respond to that story is an insight into where you're placed right now as you think about what the future of the world and work life looks like, whether you realize it or not. And these shifts and changes, they're coming. And some are quick and fast and some are subtle, but they're happening. And if we want great people in great workplaces, we need to get ready to adapt. And I know that that's tricky and comes with tension, but as always, this is the great work I get to do. So if you need any help or if you need any insight or if you need a discussion or you want to have a chat, let me know. You can find me on all places and socials and emails. But this conversation is worth having with yourself, with your team, with others. Maybe share the episode, do the things, like, share, tag. Because if we don't have this conversation, the future will be here and then it'll be the present and then it'll be a little bit messy or messier than it already is. All right, wonderful people, take this away, ponder it, think about it, let me know your thoughts. And as always, have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you somewhere soon. Bye.